What's up, everybody? It's Jared from Virtual Bike and Board, and this is a sub $3,000 electric cargo bike called an Aventon Abound. Yes, ChatGPT did write this outline, and then I had to tweak it a teeny little bit because their researchers are not as smart as Jason and I, but they gave us a lot of good talking points, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. With all that said, there's a lot of exciting things happening in the bike industry. They don't all involve carbon fiber, electronic shifting, your watts per kilogram, and how fast you can recover if you ingest this much protein. It's about this right now, which I think is pretty cool, and that is bicycles infiltrating or taking over the transportation industry. Europe is 10 years ahead of us. They're riding bikes everywhere. But us over here in America, we're starting to catch up. This is a brand new bike, just released right at that $2,000 price point, which is crazy considering what you get. I was a pretty big hater of Aventon over the last few years, but slowly, we'll call it little by slowly, I think that's a term, they are really upgrading their build quality. Cables are pretty refined, a lot of this stuff is integrated, the welds look good, things are attached with metal and not so much plastic. These are kind of pathetic, but for the most part, they're up in their game. They're becoming a real competitor in the bike industry. That's pretty awesome. With that said, I want to go over a couple features of this bike that are really standing out to me and to ChatGPT. Aventon's screen has been updated like 3 or 4 times now in the last couple of years. This is what I think the best iteration. There's not much to it. Battery percentage, speed, big, right in the center, what mode you're on, so there's like Eco, Sport, Turbo, and basically how long you've been riding for, and an odometer. We don't really need much more than that. It's clean, it's easy to read, it's front and center, and it feels pretty durable. It doesnn't feel that chintzy. So it looks like it's gonna last the lifetime of the bicycle. Torque sensor. This is a huge improvement in the hub drive electric bike game. Most hub drive bicycles used to not have a torque sensor. Essentially what it would be is it was a cadence sensor. So as soon as you'd pedal your pedals around one time, if you had the power on, then basically it would just give you full power for that mode. And because it's not going through the drivetrain, it was really jerky, right? Mid-drive bikes could offer a smoother power delivery because 1, they had torque sensors, and 2, it was going through your gears. Whereas these hub drive bikes felt pretty archaic. This bike is different. This bike has a torque sensor. So regardless of what power setting you're on or what gear you're in, essentially the harder I pedal this bicycle, the more power it's going to give me, and it is smooth. I cannot believe I'm saying that this Aventon is offering a smooth power delivery, but one thing I can say on this channel is I don't lie. I'm not afraid to say this thing is no good or not. This thing is pretty smooth. Front suspension. The one thing that Aventon did right, which a lot of these manufacturers are doing now, is they're speccing their bikes with smaller, fatter tires. So this is a 20-inch rim or wheel with like a 2.35 type tire and the front suspension. Does it need the front suspension? It's up for debate. Is it the highest quality front suspension? No. But it does add a little swoosh when you're going over some potholes. It's cool. It's a smooth ride. Fenders are kind of a given in this category because you're going to ride this bike in the rain if you're using it as a form of transportation. It sounds crazy. No one's going to believe me when I say this. But if you have fenders on your bike and you're riding in the rain, you're going to stay fairly dry. The spray from your tires is what gets you soaked. That's when it goes up your you're feeling really uncomfortable. It doesn't happen on this bike. Beyond that, the rack on this thing is beefy. Yes, it's made out of metal. Yes, it's bolted onto a frame with metal bolts. It's not chintzy. It's rated for 143 pounds, which I don't know where they come up with these numbers, but it feels like enough. Smaller human, medium to smaller size human can fit on the back of this thing pretty comfortably. Yes, we tested it out. Yes, it works. Yes, it feels like the front tire's off the ground, which means you're definitely losing some control, but I had a 190-pound teenager on the back of this thing. It's not really how it's supposed to be done. If I had a kid on the back of this thing, I feel like it would ride no problem. Beyond that, there's a ton of accessories. They haven't come in the mail yet. There's like the big handrail thing. So if you have a kid on the back, they have some handrails to hold on to. There's like a flat mount with a pad on the back made out of rubber for a seat. It's made to kind of act like a car through town, and I feel like they're doing a pretty good job with it. It has these handy what I'm going to call running boards or foot boards in the back here. The bike comes spec'd with them, which is, again, crazy at $2,000-ish. It is for a place for your passenger to rest their feet while you're cruising along at 20 miles an hour. They're made out of plastic, but I did install them, and they go on with these like big old 2-inch steel bolts. It feels like they're there to stay. I took a turn at 20 miles an hour, about a 90-degree turn. I was going way too fast. And the running boards and the kickstand both scraped along the ground and kicked the back end out about a foot. I was able to save it because I do have some skills on a bicycle. But beware. If you're leaning this thing over like a motorcycle, you are going to bottom it out and you're going to crash. So be careful. Drop or seat post. Why isn't everybody putting these on their bicycles? Normally, bicycles of the higher end, like mountain bike category, the dropper lever is here. There's already enough stuff going on here. So what Aventon did is they said, we're gonna use a seat actuated dropper post, which is just, works like that. It's awesome for a few things. One, getting on the bike. That's basically, now your step over height is this high. Super simple. The other thing is, your friend's gonna ride the bike, if they're not as tall as you, well, there you go. We just have adjusted their seat height. It's so easy, it's so simple. So if I want to bring the seat way up, done. It couldn't get any easier. Good job, Aventon. And then again, all the way down. I like that. Handlebars up and down as well. So one adjustment, I mean, it's that easy. It's it, and we can keep going. They've left a lot of room. We got basically, whoops. So all the way up, all the way down, super easy, a lot of adjustments. Yeah, it's a good clean build. Storage bags. In my opinion, this thing right here, although it's nice, it kind of feels like a day late and a dollar short. I mean, yeah, you can fit a couple of little things in there. One thing that people don't always take note of is on a low step-through bike like this, with a bottle cage mounted right here, it actually doesn't really work that well to put a water bottle here because then your step through is all kind of cut off. So this is probably where I would put a water bottle on this bike. And it's kind of yeah, I don't like that. If it was me, Aventon does make some panniers, slap them on there, you're good to go. Integrated lights with turn signals. This is amazing. Most e-bikes these days, the lights are hardwired into the frame. If you had an e-bike 5 years ago, you remember having lights in the front and back of your bike, and you had to unplug them and charge them, and it's a whole nightmare. This thing, you charge the bike, the lights run off your main battery. That's awesome. The other thing, and which is again, we're getting closer towards that car industry, is turn signals and brake lights. One little button up here, left or right turn signal, awesome. It's actually super visible and super bright, so cars are gonna see it, because this and this, or whatever the hell you do, doesn't work out in the real world. The other thing is, if I slam on the brakes or gently touch the brakes, doesn't really matter. The back light really lights up, which is like a traditional brake light in a car. It's awesome. It's not heated grips and heated seats yet, like I keep asking for, but it's a step in the right direction. Two-pronged center mount kickstand. This is something we've been talking about for a while. I talked about it in the Globe video last week. Center mount kickstands on cargo bikes absolutely rock. All e-bikes over 40 pounds should have a center mount kickstand, because the chintzy ones that work off the back of the wheel or in the middle here don't work. This bad Larry right here. Aventon did it right. It's made out of metal, it's beefy, it's heavy, it works. Because of that, Aventon couldn't run the chain along the bottom here. So there's a little chain tensioner here, and I feel like it kills two birds with one stone. One, it gets the chain line out of the way of this kickstand, so that works like so. The other thing is, because this is a fairly long chain line, that adds some tension there. So your chain's not gonna slap around when you're riding, hitting bumps, laying this thing over in a corner. It's steady, it's secure, it's where it needs to be all the time. With all that said, a nice upgrade would be a belt drive. Once you add a belt drive, we'll start going up in the price points, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a belt drive on some of these bikes in the next year or so. When you turn this thing on full blast and you floor it from a standstill, it's like, it's the fastest e-bike I would say I've ever ridden. I'd have to maybe do a race, Globe Haul ST versus Aventon Abound, but my feeling is that 750 watt hub motors are torquey, which is fun. Little funky things like, see this right here? That handle right there goes a long way. I mean, you can see, this bike is 60 pounds, probably at least. I didn't put it on the Dream Crusher, but it's pretty maneuverable. The hand holder on the seat, coupled with really low tires and fairly short wheelbase and a low center of gravity, make this bike super, super balanced. It doesn't feel tippy unless you have a 190-pound teenager on the back. Like, the thing is good to go. It's built well. Aventon, really, really, really nice job on this. Beyond that, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. It helps us out tremendously. Like I always say, we're round up for distance, we're round down for time. Thanks for watching. I forgot to add one thing that I think is really cool and shouldn't be missed. We're talking about packaging waste in the bicycle industry right now. This bike came to us in a normal size box. The handlebars fold down, so they're able to get it in like a 3-foot tall box. Everything in the box is recycled cardboard. So we talk about this a lot in the bike industry. Like, there's a lot of waste when bikes come to us in boxes. There's a lot of zip ties and styrofoam and all sorts of just crap in there. It's necessary because we don't want bikes to get dinged up in transit, but Aventon is all cardboard. I don't know any other manufacturer besides maybe Trek who's gone that far down the road with like sustainability as far as recycled cardboard, but they nailed it. The little ties are made out of recycled paper. All the padding is made out of corrugated cardboard. Everything that's wrapped around the bicycle is made out of cardboard, and it's all recycled. And I'm too lazy, I didn't have time to do this, but the box actually you can fold it up into a pretty cool, pretty durable chair. So good job on Aventon for thinking about the small details on this bike. They knocked it out of the park.